BMW 3 Series. It's an icon amongst German sedans. Every car enthusiast knows if you want a sedan with sporty driving characteristics, the 3 Series should be high on your list. This is the F30 model of the 3 Series. It was first introduced in 2012. It went through a facelift in 2015. And this particular car is a 2012 model. This is the 328i, which used to have a naturally aspirated inline 6 petrol engine. But because of downsizing, it is now a 4-cylinder petrol engine with a turbocharger. The exterior of the F30 3 Series has a typical BMW design. The kidney grills and the modern headlights with the so-called angel eyes in them really make the front end stand out. The side profile has a nice flow between elegance and sportiness. At the C-pillar you will find the traditional Hofmeister kink. This car is equipped with the luxury exterior trim. You could also get the M Sport exterior, which makes the car look more sporty. Overall, the exterior is a modern package of traditional BMW design elements. Now let's move on to the interior of the 3 Series. You get this nice steering wheel with pedal shifters behind it. Optionally, you could also get an M Performance steering wheel. The seats in this car are pretty good in my opinion. They give very good side support. The leather used for the seats is also very nice. But what I most like about these seats is the fact that you can have a very good driving position. The seats can go very low and the steering wheel can move very far towards you. This results in a very sporty driving position, and that's something I really appreciate, especially in a sporty sedan like this. We have nice soft touch materials on the dash, on the doors as well. If we move on to the sides, then on the lower parts you start feeling more harder materials, harder plastics. The screen here is BMW's Idrive System. You control it by this rotator wheel down here. Next to the rotator wheel you have shortcut menus. You also have shortcut menus on the dash. It's a pretty intuitive system to use, especially with the shortcut menus. Keep in mind, this is the Idrive system that was launched in 2009. This car is a 2012 model. The 2013 models came with a upgraded Idrive system, but still this older Idrive system is still pretty good, especially for its age. The competitors in its age really didn't have such a good multimedia interface as this one. Well then, the interior of the F30 3 Series. Yeah, overall it's a nice place to be in. You have nice feeling materials, the seats are lovely, the driving position is also lovely. It may not be the most luxurious interior in its class, but overall, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good interior to be in. The F30 model of the 3 Series comes with different driving modes. You can switch between them by using this button down here. The first driving mode is Eco Pro, which is mainly used for fuel efficient driving. In this mode the engine feels restricted and very lazy. I think no one would bother driving it in Eco Pro. The next mode is Comfort mode, which is the default setting in this car. The steering feels quite light in Comfort. It's also still pretty direct. The suspension in Comfort is pretty comfortable. The car feels agile even in Comfort. Then if we move on to the transmission, in Comfort the car shifts pretty smooth. But say, for example, you need to downshift in Comfort, then it's still there. Of course, it's not as fast and sharp as in the sport modes, but it's a pretty all-round setting for the transmission in Comfort. Well, if you move on to sport mode, you immediately feel the engine drop down a couple of gears. The throttle response becomes much sharper in the sport. You also hear the exhaust a lot better in sport mode. This is because in sport the exhaust opens up its valves. Yes, in sport the suspension also becomes much firmer, but it isn't very uncomfortable. It's firm, it's sharp, it's direct, and the steering in sport becomes more heavy and becomes also more direct. Steering feel still isn't very great. Now let's also move the transmission to the sport mode by pulling the gear lever to the left and fully accelerate in the sport mode. You really feel those gear shifts. They are much more aggressive than in the comfort driving setting. And wow, listen to that exhaust. It starts popping in sport. Yeah, throttle response is very good. We can also put the transmission into the manual mode. Let's see how the transmission responds when you shift it with the pedal shifters behind the steering wheel. We're now in third, fourth, fifth. Well, it responds pretty well in upshifts. And how about downshifts? We're going from fourth to second. Incredible. If you downshift with more than one gear at a time, the transmission is still very sharp. It still reacts very good to your input. This 8-speed ZF automatic transmission, it's a very good transmission. It shifts smooth. In sport it shifts aggressive, and when you're shifting it with the pedal shifts, it's almost flawless. We're now from 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd. It's incredible. I mean, this is a very, very good transmission. The 328i that we were driving was slightly modified. It had the M Sport exhaust tips and a stage 1 software tune. With the removal of a muffler, the exhaust sounded very noticeable. There's also a 335i available with an inline 6-cylinder petrol engine. But do you really need that? This 4-cylinder from the 328i also delivers good performance, but is also very fuel efficient. And because it's lighter, because the 4-cylinder is lighter than the 6-cylinder, it results in a more nimble and agile driving. Well then, the F30 3 Series. A good looking sedan with lots of heritage. It's also involving to drive, thanks to its great rear-wheel drive chassis. Overall a very appealing luxury sedan that shows you why it's so desirable.